No worries.
What's going on, guys? Ben for UrbanGeek305.com. With me is co-founder of Reddit, New York Times bestselling author, unofficial mayor of the internet, Alexis Ohanian. Alexis, how are you?
Doing very well. Good to be back in Syracuse.
Let's jump right into it. Title of the book, Without Their Permission, How the 21st Century Will Be Made, Not Managed. I know you talk a lot about net neutrality, open internet. We've seen the recent decisions in the news. Expand a little bit for me why open internet is so important.
Sure. Well, Stephen Colbert recently did an amazing segment on net neutrality, but in a nutshell, the open internet, net neutrality is the way it was possible for me and Steve Huffman to start Reddit, or any of our ventures, or for any of those amazing things we love on the internet to even exist. Because when they were created on an internet where all bits were created equal. What I mean by that is, getting access to an idea was just as fair for anyone who had it. And so what this recent ruling will mean is that, there are only a handful of ISPs, so think of whoever you get your internet service from. These companies will now have the ability to, instead of having things be a level playing field, create a tiered internet where, just like your cable bill, there'll be a basic internet, right? Default is Google search. If you want Yahoo search or some other upstart search company like my friends who run DuckDuckGo, you'd have to pay more for that. And so all of a sudden the market that you have as an entrepreneur is now a lot smaller because the ISPs, and there's only a few, do special deals with the large companies. And all of a sudden, all bits are not equal. And then all ideas online are no longer equal. And so no longer do the best ideas win. And so I firmly believe that without net neutrality, Steve and I never would have been able to start Reddit, because chances are all the incumbents would have been able to create sort of special deals with the ISPs, and an entrepreneur like myself, or like many of the ones I invest in today, would not be on a level playing field. And that's heartbreaking, because it's going to mean a lot less innovation, because it's going to mean that now I, as an investor, I'm going to have to turn down investing in companies because the entrepreneur that comes to me, I have to tell her, like, I'm sorry, but you're going after an incumbent. You're improving and innovating an industry where you can't win because the playing field isn't level anymore, because you're only going to have access to a fraction of people online instead of everyone.
That's great. Let's talk about Reddit for a second.
Sure.
When you and Steve launched Reddit, did you ever think it was going to take you down the path that it has?
Absolutely not. That's one of the things I've really been pushing on the Without Their Permission tour, which is, you'll see, spoiler, one of my slides is a photo on the first day of Y Combinator. And it's me and Steve, founders of Reddit, first day, and we had no fucking idea what we were doing. No clue. And this is something that I stress time and time again, because far too often these internet success stories get distilled into a TLDR that makes it seem like it was really straightforward, really obvious. Everyone knew what they were doing. That's such malarkey. No one knows what they're doing. And so at that time, last month Reddit had 100 million users.
That's insane.
All right, it's crazy.
I can't wrap my head around
it. It's crazy.
Like that.
It's crazy. I live in New York City, which is like 8 million. Like, how many New York Cities worth of people is that? Yeah, it's madness, right? 12? Anyway, it's a lot. So then think about, though, when we started in 2005 in a little apartment in Medford, Massachusetts, we just wanted 100 people using our website. We weren't thinking, oh, one day we're going to get this art, the president's going to do an AMA, we're going to become this platform for all these online communities, we'll have 100 million people. No, we just wanted 100 people to use this thing we had made to keep us from feeling like total failures. And so every founder who gets started feels this way. You just need to satisfy 100 people's problems or needs, and then satisfy 1,000 people, and then 10,000, and maybe one day you'll get there, but don't start daydreaming about 100 million, start out thinking about 100.
Ever since I got the email saying that I was going to have time to meet with you, the one question I wanted to ask.
Bring it on.
And it's kind of offbeat of what most people are probably going to ask you.
It's all good.
Reddit has the alien. Monk has its chipmunk.
Yeah.
Bread Pig has its flying bread pig hybrid.
Yes.
Who comes up with these things?
Dude, it's, I have an overactive imagination. I mean, the Reddit alien happened because I was bored in marketing class, and I liked this little creature, and I was like, we should have this be our mascot. We didn't know what we were going to do yet. We didn't know the name yet. But I was like, I really want this alien. And the Hitmonk Chipmunk actually happened because Adam and Steve wanted to call it Bounce Pounce, which was a terrible name. and his girlfriend, Adam's girlfriend, wisely suggested they find a domain name of a sort of misspelled cute animal like Chipmunk Without the C, and then I would be able to draw a mascot. And then the bread pig, actually, we were looking for domain names for Reddit, and we wanted to, we did a search for, this is some good trivia here, R-E-A-D, read, because at the time we wanted something like riffing off of red or read, and we found bread pig, which of course is R-E-A-D in the middle. But we thought, who the hell, these were expired domain names. These were domains someone had bought and then let go. And we were like, who would register bread pig, but then like give it up? And so we bought it instantly. And Steve and I were just riffing one night about what a bread pig would look like. And he mentioned, oh, it's probably a pig with bread wings. And I thought, that's genius. All right, great.
That's awesome. Last time you were here in Syracuse, when you did speak about SOPA and CISPA, you made a joke that that you were on Google Plus and not ironically. On UrbanGeek315.com, we always tackle all types of technology. I am on Google Plus, also not ironically. I use it to link my content to myself. In your opinion, as someone who is the unofficial mayor of the internet, what is Google doing or not doing with Google Plus that would build that platform?
Man, this is a fascinating one for me because Google has the reach, you would think, to support a massive social network, right? I mean, that's how they've been onboarding so many new users, is because they're just like, congrats, you've got a Google Plus account. Surprise.
Right, with the YouTube comment thing and everything recently.
And what it hasn't been able to do is create a connection for a lot of people yet. It's still a pretty niche community of people who are using Google Plus actively, like we are, unironically. And I don't know if it's going to break out of it. But like I said, it's fascinating because they have the user base. Ostensibly, they have a user base, but it's something that people aren't really using in the same way they're using other social networks. I don't know. I think they got a lot of things right conceptually with circles. And I mean, they sort of forced Facebook's hand to be a little bit more thoughtful with how people presented and shared content. But the execution wasn't quite there. I don't know what it is. And certainly being as heavy-handed as they were with YouTube was a misstep. But I think they're just hungry to find an excuse to show that this thing is working. But like I said, it's fascinating because normally, I think if they had built the platform the same way from scratch, they would have had to grow in to a community. Because they built a platform and then just dumped millions of people into it, it's a rare thing, right? That someone has access to millions of people and can just say, all right, we're going to try a social network, go with it. I think you're seeing what happens when you kind of shoehorn millions of disparate people who are using Google for a very different thing into a social network that they should be thinking about a certain way. And I don't, it's going to stay relevant, if only because Google search is still relevant and because Google Plus results, or search results rather, are going to be affected by Google Plus scoring. And like again, it's people like us who are thinking about stuff like this, right, who are incentivized to post there and share there. But I don't think my girlfriend doesn't think about that as much as Google Plus. Like, how do you get normal people, not that we're not normal, we're a little not normal, like to be thinking about this as a place to share cat photos. Yeah. And I don't know, they haven't cracked that one yet. But they are, like I said, they've got limitless resources. So they'll probably just keep. Google Plus won't be shutting down anytime soon.
Okay, one last question for you. And this one might actually be a hard one that you're probably not going to be prepared for. Favorite AMA? There have been a lot.
How do you pick one, man? Bill Murray is top of mind. Bill Murray is top of mind right now because it was one the internet was asking for, and he did not disappoint. It was so good it got me to download Garfield and see if it was really as bad as everyone said it was. And it turns out it was. It was actually worse than everyone had said it was. Obviously, President Obama's was a historic one. I mean, he did it from Charlottesville, which is where Steve and I went to college. Like, so the mind job of having POTUS using our platform from the same town where we started, like 8 years earlier.
I didn't know that he was doing it from there.
Amazing, from Charlottesville. It was coincidence. Cool. Total coincidence, but it was amazing. And then even right now, actually, Will Ferrell is doing an AMA right now.
Oh, right now.
And I'm missing it. We can go check it out after this. But that's the fun thing. There is, for all those famous people, there is invariably someone every day, every other day, who's not famous, who comes on and has an amazing story to tell. Maybe they're an ER nurse, and you know, she's talking about the, you know, the things she sees in the ER.
When I was an EMT, I always thought about doing them, but I was just I was too afraid to.
Why not?
It took me a while to come out of the shell to be able to just stand here and talk to
You
somebody.
got it. I mean, it's working. You're doing it, man.
Alexis, I thank you so much for taking time for my site and for coming here to Syracuse and bringing the tour here.
My pleasure. And speaking of which, actually, the best AMA, Bruce just left. The bus driver for our tour, Bruce Lane, he's amazing. And I think I've talked him into doing an AMA.
Oh, that should be really
That's going to be a lot of fun because he's toured with legit rock stars. So he's got some stories. The stories from our tour are so comparably boring because we're just laptops who, like, we get frustrated when, like, the internet's not great. He has stories where it's like he got on the bus at 4 in the morning and he had to kick off like 20 naked people because they needed to be at a show in 6 hours. Yeah, anyway, gotta wait for the Bruce Lane AMA.
Well, I thank you so much for your time.
Oh, my pleasure.
It was great speaking with you.
Thank you. Go Orange, men and women. What do you, so I know it's the Orange